What's up, guys? Today we're gonna do a little tutorial, a little fitment guide for the FXR Fender Struts I've been making for a really long time now. And there's always questions on do they fit my bike, and this is what I have and what year and all that. So I'm gonna run through it a little bit. We'll start with the early bikes. So the early bikes, 82 to 86, 7, they all take the RP RT fitment, which is this close hole spacing for visual comparison, close hole, wide hole. So RPRT. The thing you want to remember on the early frames, they have a little bit of extra material here. And I don't know, there's a little speculation on which year they stopped. I know the shovel head frames, 82, 83 definitely have it, and some of the later frames do. Some have already been trimmed. This tends to be just a little bit longer. In order to fit this strut, because we can't machine it any further, the early frames are just a little longer here, so you just need to trim that off. It doesn't do anything, it doesn't serve any purpose, and in fact, all the later frames, this is shorter. So just trim this off. You should have a little hole here, right to the edge of that hole. That will allow these two holes to line up here. On this frame that I'm showing you now, I've cut off the stud that's here, which I need to remove. A lot of times you'll get a frame that they've already been removed. If you want to run the factory struts, you may need to enlarge this hole just a little bit. I kind of did it. It's really easy to do. I kind of did it. Most people pull the studs out because they break, they strip, they bend, and just run a 1/2 inch bolt through it and nut on the inside of the fender. That's kind of the most common way. But if you do want to run the stud, you can just open this up just a little bit. It'll slide over. You'll be fine. What else? Sometimes you may get an early frame that it has the later style hole put in. Like someone might have had this bike before you and decided, oh, I don't like this, and they want to drill the hole. Basically, that hole, this needs to be trimmed so it doesn't go all the way back, but that hole would be right here. So if you have this front hole, you can run the RS fender struts. And what the RS is, the sport models, it tilts the shock position slightly forward. The later frames, like pictured here, have the hole, but they also have the other two holes. So in the later frames, you can run them up in the RP position or laid down in the RS position. So jumping back to this, like I said, you need to trim this off a little bit. You have these two holes to work with. Boom, RPRT fitment. And the RPRT fitment, the shock position is slightly raised. So the shock position, like I said, is just more upright. On the later frames, if you want to run the RPRT, you can do that. It'll give you the more upright shock position. Like for example, you bought shocks already and then you're like, it's just not tall enough. You can switch the strut, run this style, and it'll raise the bike about 1.5 inches, like that. Let's see, like I said, going back, the later frames have all the holes. You don't need to trim them. They go right on fine. Let's see, let's go through this. This was what we call type 1. Type 1 has the fin, and a little fun fact, the fin actually, when I sort of designed these, whatever many years ago, my buddy Dustin drew them up for me. They were based off of the Kimtab wheel, which everybody knows. I run these on everything, I love them. That's what that fin was actually supposed to mimic. I initially did these for my Doberman bike that had those wheels, and that was the whole point. So that's type 1. Type 2 came later. This was the ball mill type. Again, everybody knows I love all the 90s stuff, so this ball mill stuff was kind of like, matches the Ness sort of fairing, the Ness side covers, possibly the Ness fairing, and if you have ball mill side cover on your transmission or rocker box tops, that's what that plays off of. I then was like, well, what can we do? Let's try something funky. Let's do a type 3, which is the fin and the ball mill. We just released these. They sold out pretty quick. Just another option for you. They look great, actually. All the struts come in raw aluminum. I then Scotch-Brite them by hand and just kind of grain them a little bit and soften up some of the machine marks that are still left in them. But you can polish these, you can chrome these, you could anodize these, you could paint them, spray paint them, whatever you want to do. But this is how they come. If you really, really, really need a different finish and you can't do it, email us or send me a message. I may be able to help you facilitate that. But that's basically the rundown. You have type 1, type 2, and type 3. Again, RS fitment has the wider holes, and RT and RP have the narrow holes. And one more thing I forgot to mention. So these are made in small batch right here in California. They're 6061 aluminum. I've done cast ones before, but these things are strong. Some of those die cast factory ones, you see them, they crack all the time, they twist. These are straight and they won't break from you doing a wheelie or something. Another thing to remember, like on the RS fitment, your convertible bags, your leather pros, they all fit on this, no problem. As you guys may or may not know, with RP or RT clamshells or police bags, you have to run RP, RT struts. You cannot run those with these struts. Because this 45-degree angle, it won't let the factory bag mount sit flush against it. You can still run leather pros or convertible bags on the upright shock position RP, RT strut, but the factory clamshells or whatever won't work. I have seen them modified to work, so if you're handy like that and you want to do that, by all means, go for it. But just a disclaimer, your factory police bags won't fit on these struts. So yeah, that's the basic rundown on these. They are on the website. If you need more information, you're still confused, send us an email.